The Flowmaster Outlaw will be one of the loudest systems in the category for just north of $400, making this system the perfect choice for Coyote owners out there who want to be heard by everyone and have absolutely no remorse for other cars, neighbors, or eardrums around you. In true Flowmaster form, the 409 grade stainless construction will be finished off in this heat-resistant black paint, and it will get a simple 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, with more detail to come on the install later in the video. But since this is an exhaust after all, let's break down the sound clips you guys just heard with our 5-liter GT, and as advertised, the Outlaw is an absolute screamer. Easily one of the loudest systems I've personally heard here on the newer GT, and an easy 5 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbors scale. And while this thing is loud on the outside, you are getting an equal amount of loudness on the inside of the car as well, and that's something some owners might like and others maybe not so much. Now, if you do have your heart set on that iconic Flowmaster sound, but maybe aren't ready for that much volume, you might want to check out the American Thunder system instead. Now, one thing I always like to point out in Axle-Back videos, and one thing I think is important to consider, is your future plans for your exhaust system. Because as loud and as angry as this thing sounds right now, you have to keep in mind, this is still with the factory manifolds and cats still in place. Remove those in favor of some aftermarket long tubes or an aftermarket mid-pipe, and that sound is only going to get louder and crazier. So if you're cool with that, great, you're certainly in the right place here. However, if the current volume level of the Outlaw is just kind of tiptoeing the line of being a little too loud, well, it's only going to get louder with those future exhaust mods. So again, just something to consider when shopping for an Axle-Back. But let's talk about why the Outlaw is such a head turner in the volume department, and I can honestly speak to this with experience because I've actually assembled one of these guys at the Flowmaster factory. Now the Outlaw, at least this portion here, starts off as a 4-inch piece of tubing and then is stuffed with about 5 metal baffles welded into place one at a time. Now these guys do have a hole right in the middle, so they're going to allow for a nice free-flowing system, but in addition to that, it's also going to allow for all that volume like you heard with our sound clips. As for the rest of the construction, well, you're looking at 409 grade stainless steel here, which is a nice step up from the aluminized steel when it comes to reducing corrosion over the years, even more so when you factor in this high temperature black paint that Flowmaster hits this system with at the end of production. Going even further with construction, you are going to find 2 3/4 inch mandrel bent tubing, what little of it there is, and then finally everything is going to exit out the large 4-inch tips here embossed with the Flowmaster logo. And keep in mind, you're getting all of this for just north of $400, making the Outlaw pretty affordable in the land of aftermarket Axle-Back exhaust systems. But let's get into the install, and you'll be happy to know here, gang, that S197 Axle-Backs are gonna be a complete breeze. So 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, maybe an hour or so of your time, depending on your expertise, your setup, and just how fast you like to work. Tool-wise, a basic socket set is gonna be doing most of your work for this install, but I always like to factor in some spray lubricant to help you with a couple of rusty bolts and those rubber exhaust hangers. And then finally, just get the rear of the car up in the air to make life a little bit easier. So a lift, jack and jack stands, or race ramps, whatever you have laying around the garage. Getting started, you'll need to remove the factory mufflers from your car first. To do so, just remove the clamp closest to the muffler itself, and a few bolts at the hanger securing the factory muffler to the car, and then dropping everything down at one time. At this point, you can transfer those hangers over to the new Outlaw system and then lift them into place, securing a few bolts at the hanger, in addition to that clamp that you removed in the very first step. But don't tighten everything down quite yet, just snug these bolts up, because you're gonna wanna get those tips positioned exactly where you want them in the opening of your rear bumper. Once you have everything where you want it, go ahead and tighten up all those bolts, and your installation is complete. Wrapping things up here, guys, the Flowmaster Outlaw is a fan favorite on the site with over 100 plus 5-star reviews, and listening to the system, it's pretty easy to hear why. If you're a fan of loud stuff, you will not be disappointed with the Flowmaster Outlaw, and you can grab yours right here at AmericanMuscle.com.